When someone asks about your childhood and your mind suddenly goes quiet, that pause is not confusion. It's not because it was terrible and not because it was perfect. It's because the timeline feels compressed, like childhood skipped several chapters. You remember being 7 years old, then somehow already being grown. That gap is not forgetfulness. That gap is psychological compression. It happens when childhood ends quietly, without drama or obvious collapse. You didn't lose your childhood, you learned to survive instead. Maybe you cooked meals far too early. Maybe you managed adult emotions daily. Maybe you translated arguments between parents before learning how to express your own. Maybe you learned to read the room before learning to read books. People called you mature and responsible. They said you were wise beyond years. Here's the truth nobody explained. That wasn't maturity. That was adaptation under pressure. Psychologists call this parentification, when children carry adult responsibilities early. Dr. Lisa M. Hooper studied this deeply, and her findings reveal something critical. These children look exceptionally mature, but it isn't true development. It's a survival adaptation. Your nervous system learned one lesson. Stability depends on you. So your brain installed a new operating system. Instead of play and exploration, it switched to monitoring and management. You learned to anticipate emotions instantly, to detect danger before it appeared. You could feel the room shift just from footsteps at the door. Problem solving became automatic because failure was never an option. And here's what nobody tells you. That system never shuts off. It follows you into adulthood quietly, running invisible background processes. That's why real crises don't scare you. You stay calm and clear. But small things feel overwhelming. Rest feels uncomfortable. Receiving help feels unsafe. Because rest once meant danger. Rest once meant collapse. So you stay alert. You stay useful. And usefulness becomes your currency. Many adults who grew up fast confuse being needed with being loved. Because love came through responsibility. Connection came through reliability. So being needed feels familiar. It feels like home. This is why unavailable people attract you. Not because you enjoy pain, but because emotional distance feels normal. Consistency can feel suspicious. Peace can feel boring. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system remembers chaos. There's also the control piece. Not toxic control, quiet, internal control. You plan everything meticulously. You replay conversations repeatedly. You simulate outcomes before acting. People call you anxious or perfectionistic, but they're mislabeling adaptation. Your system learned unpredictability had consequences, so you manage variables constantly. You hold everything together. And over time, you get exhausted. Not sleepy tired, bone-deep tired, the kind sleep doesn't fix, because you've been emotionally working since elementary school. Here's something unexpected. People who grew up fast often struggle with simple things, not major life challenges. Those feel manageable. It's asking for help. It's resting without guilt. It's being playful or carefree. Those feel unsafe to your system because you learned early your needs came second, so you built rules around that belief. Psychologists call this an internal operating system. One core rule sounds like this: if I stop, everything falls apart. And society rewards this behavior. We praise productivity and independence. We reward low-maintenance people. Nobody asks what it cost. You also learned emotional labor fluently, a language most never study. You manage tension effortlessly. You diffuse conflict invisibly. You make everyone comfortable while disappearing quietly. Eventually, it becomes automatic. But breathing sustains life. This drains it. So what do you do now? How do you heal something that doesn't feel traumatic enough? Because it wasn't one event, it was many small moments. First, you grieve honestly. You grieve the childhood you missed, the ease you never had, the version of you that could be needy and loved. That child deserved softness. Acknowledging this isn't bitterness, it's truth. Second, you learn a distinction. Being needed is not being valued. Your worth is not productivity. Your value isn't usefulness. You are not a human doing, you are a human being, and being is enough. Third, you become a beginner at receiving care, a beginner at resting safely, a beginner at letting others help. No matter what your age, you never learned this skill. That's not failure, that's missing education. The child who grew up fast did an incredible job surviving. They were brave and resourceful, stronger than anyone realized. But they don't have to lead anymore. It's safe to loosen control. It's safe to rest. It's safe to be playful late. You've held everything together for a very long time. What would it feel like to finally be held instead?